Hey, it's Patty here, and this is episode number 38 of the Positioning to Profit podcast. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for checking out the show. Today, I'm going to be talking about being authentic. Had a great conversation, impromptu, with a fellow coach, and she was expressing her concern and shame around putting herself out there with some failures that she has had in her business. And I said, that's perfect. You should absolutely be talking about it. And in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing why this is so key to connect with your audience. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. All right, this episode is going to be awesome, in my opinion, because we're talking about this whole topic of authenticity. And there's a difference between manufactured authenticity and genuinely feeling the authenticity vibe, putting yourself out there in a way where really the intention is to connect, the connection that we want with our tribe so that they can relate to you, so they know you, so they like you, so they trust you, and then for those that are open to it, do business with you. So that's the overall goal of when you get into business, right? You want to connect. But here's the deal. I had a great conversation today with a fellow coach, and she felt a lot of shame around, putting herself out there because there were some stories that she was holding on to around having failures in her business. And I was thinking to myself, girlfriend, I have so been there. We're talking crash and burn, nosedive, financial ruins, failing at launches and, things not working, business things failing, on and on and on. And so that's the magic of what creates the resiliency. And oh, by the way, you can really collect a lot of really great stories out of that because you're putting yourself authentically. And the best part of doing that is that you become relatable. Because how many times have you seen, especially in today's age with social media, where everybody just looks so perfect and polished and everything's great and it's la la land and it's like, what planet are we on? I mean, the reality is that business it goes in peaks and valleys. When you're starting out and you're putting yourself out there and trying to figure out this whole thing, nobody really teaches it, at least when I was in school. And so she was feeling a lot of shame. And I said, in fact, because you have had failures, because you've cycled, because all these things happen, that's what makes you compelling. And you're speaking from a place of knowing. So one of the best ways to mitigate that is just to put it out there, to say the shit that went down and exactly what happened and use it. And what starts to happen is that you diffuse that sensitivity around it, the thing that you were cringing about, like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. It really desensitizes it. It doesn't become that big of a deal anymore. I mean, for me, I remember the tremendous amount of shame that I felt where with my upbringing and the abuse that I went through and the whole thing about my stuttering, and that really has made me who I am. And this is what now I talk about it so openly, and people have a point of connection to see everything that I went through to come out on the other side, and really now how I incorporate that as part of my story. Or for example, right, being at the top of my career and then being let go and feeling really pathetic as I was walking out with my box of tchotchkes that I had collected from my office because I had gotten the pink slip. And that whole story of the immense amount of failure that I felt and really feeling like that awareness that my job is not an asset, and that really pivotal moment where I said to myself, I'm never going to let this happen again. And of course, I went through the emotional roller coaster after that of just not really understanding what my next steps were. So that's another story. So all of these things, the culmination of these really great stories. So in putting yourself out there, the great thing about that is that nobody can then throw it in your face is like, hey, we uncovered this deep, dark secret. Well, guess what? If you're putting it out there, if you're putting those things that, like this fellow coach said, that she's embarrassed about and she's ashamed about, you diffuse it. It no longer becomes the thing that you hang and that you dread. And that's the magic of it. Okay, I don't know if you remember, but the hip hop artist Eminem had the movie The 8 Mile, and one of the best scenes was right at the end where he was in the rap battle. And if you guys are like, what is she talking about? Just bear with me. So anyway, so in the movie, Eminem is right at the end of the movie almost, and he's in a rap battle, and he's so close to the end, and he has to battle the baddest hip hop king, or excuse me, rap king. And you see him in the scene right beforehand. He goes to the bathroom. He's just kind of thinking through, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to rap about? Right? How am I going to beat this guy that is like the king of everything and everybody knows him and the whole deal? So he gets out there and he starts talking about all of the things that made him who he is, and all of the things that this other rap king was probably going to pick on. He had put it out there before, and because of that, because he put himself out there so authentically, he won. Now, granted, yes, it was a movie, but the cool thing about that is just a perfect example of how he didn't let the things that made him, his failures and the fact that he was broke, his, raised in a trailer park and the whole nine, all these little elements that what people could pick on him, he had just put it out there. And because he had put himself out there is the reason why he won the rap battle. Anyway, that's my Eminem moment. I thought it was really cool. And again, that was like right in the end of 8 Mile, and he won. Maybe that's a spoiler, but if you haven't seen it by now, this movie's a good 10 years old. But anyway, the concept is really cool. The other thing that I do want to say is that the thing that's so fascinating by putting yourself out there, it allows for connection points. And it's what creates a point of fascination. And here's what I mean by that. Okay, we're about halfway through with this episode, but I wanted to make sure that you knew about my new Positioning to Profit quiz so that you can discover how to use the key pillars of positioning to give yourself the ultimate edge for your business. It's an assessment, personalized plan of action to overcome these roadblocks that are keeping you from even more profit. So head on over to positioningquiz.com. All right, let's continue with the show. So what I mean by that is your website. If you take a look at what your about page is, and what's so fascinating is I redid my about page a while back and I started including these little elements. And one quick tip that I have for you is just write down some elements to your about me page that infuses your personality and creates points of fascination. You will be surprised, but when I have received outreach calls, right? Prospects coming in, they want to have a conversation with me. Almost always people look at my about me page and they find out these different facts about me. Like I don't like country music. I start my morning out with bulletproof coffee. I grew up with a childhood stutter. All these little elements that make me me. And the fascinating thing about it is that it creates an engagement point. It creates a connection point. It creates a conversation starter. So I encourage you, find those things about you that make you you, things you have overcome, right? Those challenges that you may have overcome so that you're focusing on not just the glory, but the story, right? For example, if you were a college dropout or you didn't finish college or go to college and now you're teaching CEOs or speaking on stages of hundreds, or the fact that now you're a trusted advisor and you never went to college, or the fact that you were a single mom and grew your business to 6 figures and beyond. Those are these amazing elements that create that know, like, and trust factor. Another point on this authenticity front that we're talking about is to make sure to keep things really simple. See, one of the things that I noticed is that when people have this need to over intellectualize or to give into the curse of knowledge, they complicate things in their languaging. They complicate things, and because of that, the prospect, the confused mind says no. The prospect's like, nobody wants to feel like they're dumb. So keep things really simple, keep things really approachable and relatable. And then the other one was a really good tip that I got from a retreat that I was just at. We were doing some role playing. And as I was going through my role playing scenario, the instructor said, make sure to wrap it up with a feel good bow. In other words, the importance of people feeling good about what they're hearing or what they're reading or what you're saying is super, super critical, because what it provides is the ability for people to take part in what you have to say. And I thought that was just so genius. So make sure that when you're sharing those stories and you're sharing those connecting points, make sure to end it up on a high note, wrap it up in a bow so that they can relate to it. And we want people feeling good about this stuff. So remember that through those life experiences, they're incredibly useful to you, but you want to make sure to end it on a positive note. So the challenge really is for you to consider, how do I infuse more of my personality, more of my relatable stories, more of the things that make me unique in my marketing, right? Whether it's in your emails or in your About Me page, I highly recommend it. Take a look at my About Me page. Not that it's like monumentally awesome, but what I have found is that it always is a conversation starter. And you can find it over on my website, pattydominguez.com. So take a look at that, model it, mirror it. I'm not kidding. Every single time I get on the phone, people have a comment about it. So it works. So there you have it. This is what I wanted to share with you, is that whole process of putting yourself out there authentically with the goal of connecting at a greater level, making sure that you keep it simple and you end on a high note. So the idea, the goal is for people to know, like, and trust you. So that's what I wanted to share today, was just that quick idea. Again, that follow-up conversation with that fellow coach of mine, and where she was feeling shame about her business failures. And we just had the opportunity to reframe it in a way, right? Wrapping it in a bow and just coming from a place of authenticity and showing that her journey is one to really take a look at it. And she's speaking from a place of knowing and credibility that she's now building her business because of those lessons that she learned. All right, that's what I have for this episode of the Position to Profit podcast. I want to thank you for being here. Make sure to continue to check out the episodes and stay tuned, because I have some really good guests and great ideas and idea sharing and all of that, so that you can position your business to profit. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for checking out the Positioning to Profit podcast. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new episodes. And also, it would mean the world to me if you would take a quick moment to leave a rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcast player. It really helps to get the word out about the podcast and, of course, the featured guests. And lastly, please make sure to connect with me on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. And use hashtag positioning to profit so that I can search you out and connect that way too. All right. Thanks so much. See you next time.